Good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. We got a pretty fair day in Seattle today. It's not really too warm and it's not too hot. Not like it is in other parts of the country. And I'm excited about this week. Marcus Garvey birthday. We're gonna have Mr. Rye on. He's gonna give an update, and we have someone on from Florida. And then we're going to talk about Marcus Garvey and all he tried to do for us. So, again, welcome to Mother's Justice Show. And I hope your week is going, it started off good, okay? And then it's going to end up good. All right. So I think Mr. Rye is already here.
Yes, I am.
So we'll
And
just go ahead on with that.
it's good to be able to start another week in good health and good mind and inspired about what I see across the country with the outpouring of support for Vice President Kamala Harris. And I see that the main man who's joined us, right now, Attorney Jesse Wineberry, former state representative, has been doing a lot of work with trying to get reparations for African descendants of the United States enslaved. So there is a resolution was passed unanimously on June 23rd at the Washington State Democratic Convention. Over 1,000 delegates from across the state, and the overwhelming majority of them were white Washingtonians who were delegates, voted in support of a resolution to have Governor Jay Inslee sign an executive order to create a commission to study reparations. So Attorney Jesse Wineberry, from the founder of the Washington Equity Now Alliance, is on there, also known as WINA. But Attorney Shirley Seacrest Anderson and Winona Hollins-Haig had a meeting last Tuesday, and I'm sure he can reveal what transpired there as well. So Jesse Wineberry, you're on Reverend Walden's Mother's Justice Show.
Oh,
It's good to be here.
Well, welcome. I think you've been on before, but welcome again. Hey, we come from a place we don't know any strangers, so come on in and give us a good update.
First of all, thank you for the leadership that both of you have given, both Reverend Harriett Walden and we want to give him a license to preach, as he does on his show every week, and that's Eddie Rye Jr. Really, you guys, you both of you are cornerstones of the Civil Rights Foundation, not just in Seattle and the Pacific Northwest that we build on. And we, I think, are about to add possibly the top of the skyscraper, and that is reparations for the roughly 400,000, nearly 400,000, according to the U.S. Census, African Americans that now reside in Washington State. And Eddie has updated you on what has been nothing but success in this very quiet movement. Number one, a number of organizations have come together, including the NAACP, Democrats for Diversity and Inclusion, the Washington State Democrats, and obviously Washington Equity Now Alliance, which is an alliance of about 23 organizations unto itself, to mobilize support for African Americans who are descendants of those who were enslaved through U.S. chattel slavery, gave labor, gave their lives, and were never compensated. And the victory so far has been the Washington State Democratic Party, as Eddie has shared, statewide, held a convention at the Maidenbower in Bellevue.
Wow.
and voted unanimously, with the exception of maybe one vote, but voted unanimously to urge the governor to issue an executive order creating a commission to study reparations. I always say on the outset, because people hear reparations, and as soon as they hear that, they're thinking a paycheck. This is not a commission. There's two kinds of commission. One is a commission that you get when you get paid, and the other is a commission that is basically a body of people, a committee of people, but high powered, to study something. And ours is a commission that the governor will appoint to study the issue of reparations, particularly as it pertains to African Americans in Washington State. One of the things that people are often ask is, and matter of fact, always ask, how much? We don't know. But one of the things that is good news for us, and you can Google this, don't take my
Okay.
word for it. Dr. William Darity, who is an esteemed professor at Duke University,
Hmm.
he and his other academicians have done a study that spans several years for them to complete on the one-to-one paycheck that someone may receive if they are a descendant of slave from roughly 13 to 14 trillion that would be allocated for this purpose over the course of time. And the number that they came up with for each individual was an average of $350,000 for that payment. Now I know the two of you pay that much in taxes, so that's not a lot of money for either of you. But for a population of 400,000 people that the governor's Department of Health have recently found through their studies, nearly half of the 400,000 African Americans are living below poverty,
Wow.
living below the poverty level. So you got 200,000 people that 350,000 per person, not per household, per person, is going to be life changing. That's
Right.
people that may have not thought that college was in their future. Well, now
Wow.
college will be in their future. That's people
Wow.
who thought owning a home was not going to be in their future. Well, now owning a home is in their future. People who thought they would never be able to start and own a business. Well, now owning a business is in their future. And so we are going to keep moving on this.
Right.
And our goal is to create the commission, get the study done, see what the recommendations are coming from that commission, and then moving forward to implement those recommendations through the legislature.
Would those funds be something that would come from the taxpayers, or I mean, all that's something to work out later on? I mean,
No, I think it's a good question. Most of the studies I've seen
mhm.
make sure that the funding comes from the federal level, so
Oh, the
not from the
federal
state
level. Oh,
or the
okay.
county or the city,
Okay.
but the
Okay.
federal level. And
Wow.
I'm familiar with this, not because I tried to be, but when I was in the legislature, uh, uh, Reverend Harriett, I was selected by the folks in the Japanese community,
Oh, yeah.
Japanese American Citizen League,
Uh,
to help them mount support for Japanese reparations.
And
And
they did get reparations.
they got reparations, and they
They-
had me and
but
Gary Locke at the
uh,
time, the future governor,
right.
and me, the future Supreme Court attorney, actually hand out the checks to those recipients.
Right.
And
Right.
so
Right.
I've seen this from almost the beginning to the very end, and that's why I know it can happen. If it can
Well,
happen
yes.
for people who were incarcerated and interned for only 3 years,
Right.
then certainly it can happen for people who have given hundreds of years of
Hundreds
labor
of years.
to build
Yeah,
this country.
that's right. I mean, it's a worthy idea, and I know that the congressman out of Detroit led that effort for a long, long time. I think he
John
passed away.
Conyers.
That's
That's
right.
right.
That's right. That's right. He led that effort, it's just amazing that people don't understand the value and the contribution that our ancestors made to America. I mean, it's uncanny that we're still living in times where people don't and have the nerve to say we need to go back someplace else. I mean, I mean, they need to go back someplace else because the country is not theirs, and so. So I think this is a worthy effort. I don't know how it's going to end up, but I do know that for great progress, there's always great rage and pushback, and so the pushback started after the person that I won't call didn't get another term in the White House, and so it's called Black Progress, White Rage. So anyway, I think it's a great effort that you're doing this, and I'd like to stay involved in it, and Wow, I didn't know it was that many African American people living in Washington State. You talk, I mean, that was born here. I know they count a lot of the immigrants. Sometimes the immigrants, African immigrants, can check both boxes. We can only check one. We can't check immigrant box. We can only check African American box or black box. So, anyway, this is worthy work. I mean, our ancestors was calling for us to do this work.
Absolutely. And I and I guess because I was involved as a legislator in Japanese reparations, it showed me the process on the state level and the federal level. It showed me the benefits in terms of how they're paid out. It showed me the eligibility requirements. For example, you mentioned immigrants. Whether it be the Japanese or the Jewish recipients of Holocaust funds, if you were not a victim, if or related to a victim, then you were not receiving on the receiving end of those checks Gary and I handed out that night at the ceremony.
Oh, okay.
And so it's the same thing here, according to Dr. Darity's analysis. And I encourage you guys to Google and read his work on this. He is basically saying that, particularly in the United States, now that the Supreme Court has basically said race-based anything is illegal, that the last thing you want to do is to make the case for people to receive this money based on solely the color of their skin. It has to be through the genealogy and tracing and tracking back to connect the people who are alive in Washington State today to their ancestors who were victims of chattel slavery. The
Right.
good news is that now more than ever, Reverend Walden, it's so easy. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
only 20 years ago, we would have had to go into old files, old archives, manually. It may have cost $350,000 to get the $350,000 that you're entitled to,
Right.
just to do all the labor. But now that you have Ancestry.com, 23andMe, the technology to be able to track and trace your lineage within minutes, or at least within a few days, the dream of reparations is now more of a reality than it has ever been in our lives.
Can
Well,
you
that
comment on the Puget Sound Underground Railroad?
Yeah, another thing about this, and I need to thank, you're going to hear me repeatedly thank the Japanese American Citizen League for recruiting me to be a part of it, because I learned a lot about African American slavery history as a result of going through the history of the Japanese American internment. And one of the things I learned that I didn't know before then is that there was slavery in Washington State. Because Washington State was not a state until 1889, and slavery was over in 1865, a lot of people can easily assume that we had nothing to do with slavery. But there was actually a Puget Sound Underground Railroad that started with a number of African Americans from California who, to be free during slavery, they moved to Victoria, British Columbia.
Oh, yes, I know about that. British Columbia. Yeah. A. Philip Randolph was up there with them for Juneteenth. Yes.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And so they were the Black community, or the largest Black community in the 1860s. And what they would do is come across the border into Washington and Oregon and try to get the Black folks and free them and get them over to Canada.
Right. Yeah,
and
that's a great story. Yeah.
Yeah, and you could Google it. I mean, the story of Charles Mitchell is just fascinating.
Yes.
A young kid, 12 years old. He was a slave that the family, the Tiltons, brought from Maryland. James Tilton was appointed to be the Surveyor General for Washington Territory by Franklin Pierce, who Pierce County is named after. He was a pro-slavery president. And so he sends Tilton out and tells Tilton, not only take your family, take your slaves. And so they had the slaves in Olympia. And when the brothers and sisters from Canada were coming to do business in Washington State as free Blacks, they saw Charles Mitchell and told him that they could take him to freedom if he was willing to leave his white slave owners and join them on the steamship. And he did. He was a stowaway. but they got busted when they arrived in Canada, because the Tiltons had already sent the word to search the boat for their slave.
Right.
And it became an international fight that Charles Mitchell won. The Canadians basically made the argument that since he was now on Canadian soil, and since there was no slavery in Canada, that he was free.
Wow.
The Tiltons and the folks in Washington State and Olympia were arguing that he was their property. And because he was their property, no matter where the property went, they were able to reclaim it. And the Canadians won the case, and Charles Mitchell became free. That is now a part of the case we make to the governor when anyone asks, well, how is Washington State have any connection to slavery or no slaves? Well, history shows that there was.
Well, I thank you so much for that piece of history. Yes. So, but this is really good. We're running out of time for this segment, but I really appreciate this, and I thank you for coming on. And I hope that you'll come back on to update us, because this is really fascinating about Washington State. I think California is doing something too, almost like this. So it's going to be really interesting, and to see how the ancestors help us with this. So,
well, if I can just make one announcement, the Commission on African American Affairs is going to be meeting on September 13th to vote on whether they are going to recommend that the governor create the commission. So we urge everyone to be in contact with those commissioners who are on the African American Affairs Commission, and we will also let you know when that meeting is, so you can be a part of it, whether you're in the room or on Zoom, to urge them to vote for the governor to create this commission.
All right. September 13th.
Yes. All right, and I know we're going to be doing the Martin Luther King commemoration on sometime here in August, so August 28th, right?
Anniversary of the 1963 March on Washington D.C. for Jobs and Freedom.
That's right.
So you'll be to have that event right here.
Okay, well, I know you'll give me more information about it, right?
Yes,
sorry, right.
Well,
all right. This is available on a podcast too after the show. I want to thank you for coming on. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Rem Walden. We'll be right back. Thank you.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Oh, good afternoon. You're listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 AM KKNW. I'm your host, Rem Walden. It's my joy to be on the air. I just love Ruthie Foster, anything she's singing. I want to bring my next guest on. I mean, she's coming on from Florida, the great Sunshine State, Mrs. Frances Oliver, and we've been on one another for a long time. And she's going to talk about inspiration and all the good things she got going on in her life. How you doing, Miss? How you doing, Frances?
I'm doing fine, Harriet. How you doing?
Oh, I'm good. I'm just feeling great today. I just love radio, and I love Ruthie. And my earlier guest went a little long, but they were giving good information. And so I'm glad to have you on. And then next after you, I'm going to talk a little bit about Marcus Garvey. So welcome. I don't know how many times you've been on the Mother's Justice Show, but it doesn't matter, because we just do. This is what we do. But I wanted you to just talk about what you're doing right now. And I know we talked a little bit about inspiration, and you used to put little books together and give them out to people. And we're just kind of like, we need inspiration as we go along to do this work. So anyway, welcome.
And this is a good time for inspiration, because
yes, it is.
I'm tell you, Harriet, I went to the grocery store today. These prices are going up. and you know, I don't have a problem, but I know young people. I know some young mothers, some single mothers that's really having a problem, and they need all the inspiration to just weather it day by day.
Oh yeah.
One of my foster children called me yesterday. Her dryer went out on her. She just had a baby. Her dryer went out on her, and she called me because I had a dryer that was in my garage that was still a good dryer, and she called and asked me for it, but it was gone. And so I said, well, I can get you a used one. Do you have any money to get you? She said, Miss Francis, I got $3 in my pocket. So I knew the last dryer I bought used, I paid about $80 for it. So I gave her $75 to see if she could find a dryer. But it's just, and you know, they need a lift. They need something to lift them up. They need that inspiration.
And that's what we can do. I mean, because really, as the people who was stolen and brought here, it's been many times that we've had this up and down. But it is the inspiration, and going back to knowing that my grandmother always said, God always had a way for you. I mean, and believe that. I mean, sometimes we have to anchor our faith in what we know and believe, and that's what got our people through. I mean, I really and truly, we've been here before. We have, no matter who's in the White House, we've been here before. And one of the things I've noticed, and you probably can amen this or not, but there's structure of racism around parity in income. I talk to people in Montgomery, Alabama, and all these places, and places where the wages are so low, and it's by design.
Exactly.
It's by design, and this keeps people poor. No matter if you're in the Appalachian Mountains or you in the rural part of Georgia, wherever you are, if you're poor and you just don't have like your young lady that you're talking about, if you have children and you have your dryer goes out or you're sick and you can't get your medicine, all this keeps you from being engaged, and so the people who run in the country can continue to do what they want to do. So it's a game. It really is a game, and it keeps people. When you're worried about a dryer and you got children and the babies and stuff, and you might have a child getting ready to go to first grade, well, then how are you going to concentrate on education? See, so it's by design.
That's right.
It's by design, and it's a horrible game, and we figured out a way to get through the maze. But it's my estimation that
well, when I was coming along, if my dryer went out, I had a clothesline. As a matter of fact, I put my sheets on the clothesline today. But these kids are living in apartment houses. They don't have clotheslines. They have to depend on that dryer.
That's right.
Especially if they got 2 or 3 kids.
That's right. But all again, this is structure. You know, I mean, and you have to look at that piece. But always, it's always, I believe, and this is just how I run my life, that God always got a blessing for people if they believe. And so, and that's where the inspiration comes from. It comes from knowing that God always has a blessing for you. And sometimes the blessing is from a stranger. How many times a stranger come and help you, you know, and sometimes the blessing don't come from nobody that looks like you. Sometimes it's somebody who you wouldn't think would be giving you a blessing.
Exactly.
But the blessing is right there. And so I think for one of the things that we could help young people to understand that our ancestors showed us the way. And it's resilience. It is believing in an unseen force, and that it's unseen. This what we're believing in is not seen. It's like you can't see the wind. You can only feel the wind, but you can't see the wind. And and that's what's missing with young people. Because you and I was raised in the church, whether we still go to church today or whatever, we had a foundation.
Yes,
we had a foundation. Then our ancestors, our people who raised us, had a foundation.
Exactly.
They believed,
and they had a hope. They had hope in the future.
They had hope,
you know?
And what this media does,
and we were their hope.
We were their hope. That's right. We were their hope.
We have a better life than they had. You know.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. But what has happened is that our people, on some level, is not as spiritually connected as we were in each generation, and so the inspiration is like, come on, let's understand that you will get through this, because people have come through this before.
Yes,
I mean, really and truly, and I think our generation is the hope for them, because some of us not even raised in the church. Some of them don't even know how to,
Mm-hmm.
open up a Bible.
That's right. That's right. That's
or,
right.
or whatever, whatever your belief system
Mm-hmm.
is. But I know one thing, you have to be anchored to something. If you don't
Yes,
believe in nothing but the mushrooms that's going to come every year, you got to believe in something. And
that's right.
if you live in your life and you don't believe in something greater than yourself, you're in trouble.
That's right. That's right. And
And I
I
go
think
ahead.
that's what's happening to our young people.
Right.
And somehow or another, what we were taught, we are trying to pass it down, but they're not. Some of them not accepting it. They. I'm gonna tell you. I heard a fella doing Rosa Parks. They were talking about Rosa Parks' birthday, and they
Right.
were celebrating. And so it was on TV, and they went back to Montgomery. As this reporter asked this fella that was at the bus stop, he said, "What do you think about you're able to sit anywhere on the bus today that you want to sit on the bus? But Rosa Parks had to sit in the back, but you can sit anywhere." He said, "That's not my problem. I'm not worried about sitting on that bus. I want a car so I don't have to ride that bus." You see what I'm saying? So they what we did to them, what we did now to them is a dinosaur. I don't want to march and protest and all like that. I want to get it through my vote, which they can if they get out and register to vote. If they register and get the right people in the right places, they leaders start with their local leaders first. Start with their local leaders and get involved
Right.
in local politics. Get involved because that's where yours begin in your local politics. You see, so don't worry about what Donald Trump and all them people doing. Worry about what your mayor and your city commissioners and your county
Oh, that's
commissioners
right. Because
doing.
all politics is local at the end of the day.
That's
It's all
exactly
local.
right.
It's all
And
local. See it.
that's where you begin, and that's where you
Right.
get active in.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right. That's right.
Uh huh.
That's right. But the other thing too is that you talk about Montgomery and the boycott. I mean, I have a lady that I talk to and I support in a lot of ways. She's 85 years old, and she was part of that boycott. And because of racism, structural racism, she never made more than $50 a week in her life. But also, the buses never fully came back after the boycott. The people in Montgomery was punished, and the buses fully never came back, is what my stepmother used to say. She passed away a few
Uh
years
huh.
ago, and so that was a pushback, but they did win that. I mean, they did win the right,
Yes,
but also the young
They
people
didn't
don't.
give up. They didn't give up. They
No, they
won it.
did not give up. But also, the young
Mhm.
people don't understand that because before the Public Accommodation Act, you couldn't go to these places. I mean, really, the places that they can go sit up in today was not available for them. See, and I
Yes.
think on some levels we have not taught our history because a lot of places, Black history wasn't being taught in the schools. I always made sure my kids got Black history because I went up to the school and made sure I was in the classroom, and then I taught them at home. And then we have a Black a library here that has the largest depository of Black history in Washington State, and
Mhm.
it's called Douglas Truth Library. So
Mhm.
a lot of the things that we just haven't done, and to take
Mhm.
advantage of it, and to make sure our children are educated. It's our responsibility to make sure that they can read and write. I mean, we
Exactly.
send them out to the school, but it's our responsibility to make sure they know the ABCs and can write their names before they go to school. See,
Mhm.
and those are the things
Mhm.
we have to do. But I'm inspired. I'm
Mhm.
always inspired because I believe that the
Oh
glass is
yeah.
always half full because I know that we're the people who've been on the planet a long time. And
Yes.
and everything people use in America today that's good came from us.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
That's the inspirational part for me is that wow,
Mhm.
everything they use today, I was designed by us or something like that. Even that voice and that when you get in your car,
Yep.
that GPS was designed by a Black
Yes.
woman.
Uh
The
huh.
plasma. I mean,
Mhm.
everything. I mean, the coltan
Mhm.
and your cell phone comes from Congo. Without the Congo, you wouldn't be able to use a computer or your cell phone because it wouldn't be available.
Mhm. Gotcha.
Yeah. Yeah, but also you were talking about the booklet that you write sometime, and you write and you just give out booklets and those kinds of things. And by the way, Mrs. Oliver is a great writer. I mean, she's a historian. She's a great writer. I mean, we have the Goldsboro Museum because of her and the work that she's been doing in Sanford, where I'm from, and we went to the same church too. So sometimes it's nice to talk to people you know. I mean, because a lot
Oh,
of times
yes.
you're talking to people
Uh-huh.
you don't know. So, but
Yes.
anyway, you were telling me
Mm-hmm.
about some booklets that you create.
Yes. One of my prize book is my children prayer book. And in that book, I was teaching Sunday school, a junior Sunday school class for a long time. And we used to talk about praying, and the children would tell me about their prayers. And so the idea just come to me, why don't I get them to write their prayers down, what they pray for? And they did. I was surprised. They wrote these prayers down. And I said, well, I'm going to publish these prayers along with their pictures. So the child had a picture and the child's prayer. Some of them prayed for their mothers, fathers, families, sisters, schools, teachers, all that. They prayed for everybody. And I published that book for them. And
Wow.
that book, it went a long ways as far as other kids want to read what other kids are praying about, because some of our children don't know how to pray.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And that's you said it just right. I mean, because one of the things that we've always had was spirituality.
Uh-huh.
And in the last 40 years, since our kids have been taught by other people, and then they're following some of this worldly stuff. I mean, that gangster rap was really hard on our community, and all of those things. So no, they're not going to church. Or a lot of
No.
times they get upset because of the preachers. Sometimes fall from grace, but they're flawed individual, like some of us are. Kids get up and keep trying, but they, a lot of young people just don't go.
That's right. And Harriet, our parents taught us the going to bed prayer.
Oh
Now God
yes,
lay me down to sleep. Praise the Lord, my soul to keep. If I
yes.
should die before I wake, praise the Lord, my soul to take. And we said that every night before we went to bed.
But also, we couldn't eat the food without saying a blessing.
That's right.
You had to pray at the
Uh-huh.
table. You had to pray at the
That's
table.
right. That's right. Uh-huh.
Oh yeah. I mean,
But
we came from.
I think when they they didn't take prayer out of the school. Prayer is still in the school. Teachers
Mhm.
just can't teach prayer no more. But the children can pray all they want to. Because if you got a child that's been taught to pray over his food before he eats his food,
He's gonna eat
even
it.
in
He's gonna
school, he
pray. That's
gonna
right.
pray. He gonna pray over that food. But so the prayer, they haven't taken prayer out of school. They just took it that teachers can't teach prayer
That's
anymore.
right. Because you were an
Teachers
educator.
can't,
You were an educator.
huh?
So yeah. So I see
Yeah.
you were an
And teach,
educator. So you would know what the law says. See.
yes.
Yeah.
And now teachers can pray. We had a prayer group at my school, and every morning before school started, this prayer group would pray. And so we had a prayer group. We had and then you had in your high schools, you had kids that formed prayer groups among themselves.
Right.
And
Right.
so prayer, what people misquoted when they said prayer was taken out of schools.
Well, you're
No,
right. You were
teachers
right.
just was not allowed to teach prayer anymore. They were not allowed to teach the Bible anymore because you got too many different faiths among students that the teachers don't know anything about. They don't know it. Teachers don't know anything about Jehovah's Witness, Seventh-day Adventists, Catholics, all these different religions, Muslims, and all this kind of stuff. So why would me as a teacher try to teach the Bible when I got two kids in there study the Quran? You know what I'm saying? So
Oh
this
yeah.
is why
Oh yeah.
teachers can't teach the Bible.
Well, but
children
they
can take their
didn't teach
Bible to
us
school
religion
and
when
read
we
the
went to
Bible.
school. I
Huh?
mean, when we were going to school at Goldsboro, I mean, we could have a Christmas program, but nobody was teaching us religion at the school when I went to school.
Well, when I went to Goldsboro Elementary School, Miss Moore was the principal. And Miss
Right.
Moore would sit there on that porch. There was a little stoop she sat out on the fence. And we gathered under the flagpole every morning. We said the Pledge of Allegiance,
That's right.
We said the Lord's Prayer, and she read a scripture. But then we were all black. We were all black in there. We were either Baptist, Methodist, sanctified, you know. We were all Christians in there. There were no white kids or no other, you know. We all went to the same churches.
Well,
In
now
the
I remember that
area.
piece. I don't remember that piece of her doing that, but I remember the Christmas programs we used to have. I mean, you know, and those kinds of things. So
I'm 3 years older than you, because when I went to Crooms in the 4th grade.
okay, I went in the 6th grade. Got to be seventh. When I got to be
I went in the 4th grade, and we were the last class at Crooms Academy that went in the 4th grade.
Yeah, because I went.
After
That's
us,
right.
They moved the other 3 grades to Goldsboro.
That's right.
2 grades to Goldsboro.
Well, that's right. And when I went to Crooms, I was in the 7th grade. You know, I finished 6th grade at Goldsboro Elementary. You know, but again, you know, I mean, this is spirituality. And then also, children can always pray silently. Nobody can ever keep you from praying. I mean, the only thing they can keep you doing is audible prayer, but you pray all day long because every word is a prayer anyway.
And if
people
you're
just
in
don't
school,
know it.
you can pray all day long if you're in school. It
That's
doesn't
right. That's
matter
right.
as long as
That's
the
right.
teacher's not teaching you how to pray.
That's right. That's right. And I agree to that piece, you know. But will you go back to doing your prayer books again for the children? Will you do that again?
But I'm not teaching the Sunday school. I would have the children write their prayers.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not teaching Sunday school. I'm 81 years old, and my patience got too short for teaching Sunday school.
Oh, well, you're just a whippersnapper.
And a lot of the churches don't have Sunday school anymore.
Well, that's why they did not think about that. And so why are the children not believers? If the church don't have Sunday school anymore, where would the children learn at least the 10 Commandments at?
I don't know, but, you know, raised up in the Methodist church, we had Sunday school, and we had that one we went through at 6 o'clock in the evening. What was it called? BYPU or whatever.
Well, yeah, I didn't do that one too much, but I did go to Sunday school, you know, yeah.
Yes.
Right,
and then we started with catechism classes. I remember being in a catechism class, and the first thing we learned in catechism class is who was God.
Right. Right.
And once we found out who God was in catechism class, we started on the creation. What did God create? You know.
Right. Right. And then you're going to learn. You're going to learn John Weldon Johnson's. The creation. God stepped out on space. Yeah, you're going to learn that one. See. Oh yeah.
And by the time we went to primary classes, we knew who God was. You know.
That's right.
And we knew. We knew something about the Old Testament, and by the time we got to primary classes, we was learning about Jesus Christ, you know?
Right. So, well, these are the things, some of these things that we're going to have to bring back.
Anymore.
No. But you can tell by their behavior that something is missing, and I think it's our responsibility to try to do something about that. You know, I mean, this is really a good information. And you want to give a little shout out to Sanford. I mean, the Goldsboro and the museum and all that there before we get off.
Yes, we're still waiting. We're still waiting for the city of Sanford to sign all our paperwork so the state will release our money. That's all we're waiting for now, and we're gonna start moving everything down there and up there and get prepared for our new museum.
Well, it's going to be in the square. Where's the location going to be? Still on 13th Street?
The same place the old one is. The same place the old one is. We just moving all that stuff out.
That's so wonderful.
That land off. Yeah, we're cleaning that land off, moving everything off that land so that we can start on the new building.
Well, I want to appreciate you for being a historian, for keeping it. I mean, because people like me, I left, but people like you stayed. And look, I mean, Sanford, Goldsboro, and the work that you've done there in the community and continue to do, not only there, but other places with the NAACP and all that work. I'm just really, really glad that I'm glad that you're doing that work.
We had no choice. We had no choice because all the smart people left us here.
Oh yeah, well, you've done a great job.
The smart people were smart enough to get out of this little hick town.
Well, I'm not going to say that. I always enjoy talking to people who stayed because I'm just so empowered by that, and I'm glad that you did. I'm glad that you stayed, and I'm glad that you and Loman and the work that you're doing there, and not only in Sanford but in Central Florida and all the work that you're doing. And I really appreciate you coming on my show talking about inspiration and and our young people. I know that this is just a little blip in time, and I know that we're going to move through this event, whatever it is, and we're going to come out winners on the other side. I believe that. Yeah,
Oh
I do.
yes, oh
I
yes,
do.
oh yes.
I do. Yeah. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So listen, you
Like
can
in Gone. You remember in Gone with the Wind when she said tomorrow is another day.
it is. It
So
is.
that's the
It
way
is.
I
And it's
look at
our
it.
day.
Tomorrow is
Oh yeah,
another day.
another day. Well, thank you. We're going to end on that. Thank you for being my guest, Mrs. Oliver down there in good old Florida, and we'll be talking again. All right.
All right,
All right.
Harriet. Y'all have a
Thank you.
good day.
You too. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host from Walden. We're going to take a break and come back and talk about Marcus Garvey. Thank you.
The Mother's Justice Show is brought to you by H.G. Walden and the Virtues Healing Circles. Join us for Wisdom and Wellness with Reverend Walden, a monthly virtual and in-person healing circle that focuses on community healing and growth. Learn more at virtueshealing.com. That's virtueshealing.com. Also, be sure to join our healing group on Facebook. Again, visit us at virtueshealing.com today.
Good afternoon. You listen to the Mother's Justice Show on 11:50 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host from Walden. It's my joy to be on there. Marcus Garvey's birthday it's August 17th. And I'm going to talk a little bit about Marcus Garvey. We're having a party for Marcus Garvey at the Liberty Bank apartment community room. And the address is 1405 24th Avenue, 98122. The party is going to be between 2 and 4 this Saturday. And I'm a Garveyite. I believe Marcus Garvey was right when he came. He came to America. He came to meet. He thought he could meet Booker T. Washington, but Booker T. Washington already passed in the spirit world when he got here. And Marcus Garvey did a lot for us. I mean, he brought pride. He showed us how to stand up. And on the end, Marcus Garvey was set up by J. Edgar Hoover. He was a field officer for the office that wound up being the FBI, and also he hired the first African American ever to be COINTEL. That means to spy and to gather intelligence and maybe lies on the African American person. And J. Edgar Hoover was the longest serving director of the FBI in the history of America. So he also brought down the Panthers in the same way. And he was alive when Martin Luther King got assassinated. So anyway, I want to talk about Garvey when he came to America. And I got some quotes I want to read about Garvey. I mean, a couple of his quotes, and one of the ones I really like the best. I like all of them, to tell the truth. And I've been following Garvey. We have a Marcus Garvey book club. We changed the name from the Central Area Book Club, and as you all may know, that I'm a closet scholar. So the book club we've had was going on. This book club we started meeting probably in 2007 or 8 at Starbucks on 23rd and Jackson, and now we meet at Garfield Community Center. So that's how long we've been meeting as a book club, and we meet every first and third Tuesday of the month, no matter what. But one of the Marcus Garvey quotes is say, "If you haven't confidence in self, you are twice defeated in the race of life. With confidence, you have won even before you start." And I understand that without confidence, you just can't get anything done. And he said, whatever things are so common to a man that man has not done, man can do. And he says, when you liberate your mind, and ultimately you will liberate the body of men. And that's what this fight is about. I mean, even Abraham Lincoln, although he signed the paper to end slavery, he also said that the black man was inferior and that the white man always needed to be in charge of the black man. And one way to do that is education. So anyway, I mean, so this is where we are right now. One of the things that Marcus Garvey believed that we should do for self. He believed that we had the mechanism within ourselves to actually take care of ourselves. And Booker T. Washington had proved that because he walked from Virginia all the way to Tuskegee, and he started Tuskegee Institute. By the way, my granddaughter graduated from there a couple of years ago, and she still actually she got a master's degree this past year, and she's working on a veterinarian to become a veterinarian. So that's one of those schools that's still there. Um, and he talks about courage and that we had to have courage to do something and those kinds of things. So again, his birthday is August 17th, and we're having a party for Marcus Garvey because he deserves a party. He says actions, self-reliance, the vision of self, and the future have been the only means by which the oppressed have seen to realize the light of their own freedom. He believed that. He believed in freedom. He believed that we were made to be free. And that's what I believe. I believe that too. I believe that too. I believe that we were made for self-reliance. Garvey believed that. Garvey believed that we could do this, and yeah, he had. Garvey also had, he also had his problems. But he brought so much with him. He organized more people than had ever been organized, almost in America. But also he had a worldwide effect, even though he never went to Africa. He said Africa is for the Africans. He also said this: intelligence rules the world. Ignorance carries the burden. And you can see that because my guest was on before. I was talking about people not having everything they need, and with income and those kinds of things, and we can see right now how ignorance carries the burden because we've been programmed to believe that we can only have 3 minutes of a comprehensive understanding something before our mind wanders. Well, that wasn't true when I was growing up. We had to study. And nobody was ever telling us that we couldn't do it. You had to do it. And that's why intelligence rules the world. Ignorance carries the burden. The man who is not able to develop and to use his mind is bound to be a slave to the other man who uses his mind. That's a Garvey quote. And that's where we are today. We must have our minds developed so that we can understand and not be a slave to the other man who uses his mind. Because the other man who uses his mind might not use his mind for your liberation, see? And that's one of the things that we have to understand. No, we have to do this ourselves. He believed in doing for self. He believed that we had all the skills, all the wherewithal, all the education. We had the intellect. We had the intellect. We had the intellect to do this, and this is what we have right now. This is what we're at this place right now, and he says the first dying that is to be done by the black man in the future, we be done to make himself free. And you see, freedom absolutely begins in the mind first. Harriet Tubman knew she wanted to be free, and her body followed, And he said, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our mind. Nobody else can free our mind. Nobody, because you have to have the confidence to be able to know that you can be free. And then Bob Marley, and it's like One Love. I mean, these are people who actually went on to become rosters, but they believed in Marcus Garvey, see. And so it's really, I mean, I really like that. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. I think Bob Marley sings that. None, here's a song with that in it, but none but ourselves can free our minds. We have to free our minds. And actually, you can't let everything come in. You cannot do that. Because one thing about the media is it is designed to take your mind. It really is. And you have to put up the gates to not let all this in. And understand who you are. and that you can do this. You can say, we can do this. He says, a people without a knowledge of their past history, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. And that's what we're talking about. Marcus Garvey says that you must know where you come from. You must know that. You must understand that where you come from, and that the contributions of your ancestors and all the work that's been done to make America a better place, and wherever we went. I mean, because slavery. I mean, throughout the diaspora, all in the Caribbean, all of those islands, Brazil, a lot of places where we see African people that they live in there. They went there in bondage. Okay, and that's what we knowing this, knowing this, knowing this, knowing this is like wow, why it's just awesome to understand your intellect and to know that you as an individual can emancipate your mind. It's not ever too late to be free because we were born free. I mean, look at the excitement in America right now. People are talking about freedom. We were born to be free, and that's what Marcus Garvey talked about. When no man has a right to have his foot on your head, on your neck, or your brain, or your body. We were born free. Born free. I mean, can you imagine trying to wrap a baby up in swaddling clothes and the baby, like the baby comes home from the hospital and the baby is 7, 8 months old? What is the baby going to do? That baby's going to rile up and say, I want to be free. Get these blankets off of me. I mean, by that time, the baby should be turning over and falling off the sofa and got them all wrapped up. But see, knowledge frees you. Knowledge frees you. And again, a people without the history of their past, origin, and culture is like a tree without roots. And that's what Francis and I was talking about, because the young people have not been taught. You have to be taught this. Somebody has to put it out there for you, because the going mantra here is that we're inferior. I mean, that's why people are so. It's like, man, how could a dominant gene ever be inferior? It was always false teaching. And how did Marcus Garvey know that? He didn't know anything about geology then, but he knew that we could emancipate our mind. We could emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None other but ourselves can free us. I want to come to the party on Saturday at 1405 24th Avenue. At 98122 from 2 to 4. Marcus Garvey is in the house. Marcus Garvey, we'll be talking about him. Thank you for listening to the Mother's Justice Show on 1150 a.m. KKNW. I'm your host, Reverend Walden. It's my joy to be on there. Have a good week. Thank you.